Welcome to the Faith and Money Podcast, where listeners are invited to explore the captivating intersection of faith and finances. Leading the way are two remarkable hosts, Keith Conley, President of True Legacy Financial Planning, and Crystal Wampler, President of Canethics. Faith and Money explores a diverse array of financial topics, always placing Christ at the center of our discussions. From the basics of budgeting and investing to the transformative power of charitable giving and the dynamics of entrepreneurship, we explore it all. Keith and Crystal invite guests who are thought leaders, financial experts, and individuals who have successfully integrated faith and finances, offering practical tools and inspiring stories to guide you on your own path. If you find the Faith and Money podcast valuable and entertaining, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and your rating will help us reach more people, empowering them to align their faith and finances. Now, without any further delay, here's Keith and Crystal.
Welcome to this exciting episode of the Faith and Money podcast. My name is Keith Conley. I'm here with my famous co-host, Crystal Wampler. Crystal, how's it going?
Good, thank you. So nice to see you. It's been a while. What have you been up to?
Oh, traveling, working with clients. You know, the government paid for my last vacation. It was kind of nice.
Now that's some smart tax planning and strategy right there.
Yeah, well, I had some new clients I needed to go visit up in the Eastern Sierras, and one of my favorite places in the world. And so we had the unfortunate circumstance of camping in an RV park next to a beautiful creek and at 8,300 feet in elevation. And we were just so burdened with having to visit alpine lakes and gorgeous views. And it was just awful.
It sounds like it. I actually saw some of the photos that you shared, and it's absolutely beautiful. That's the way to travel, is on the government's dime.
Yeah, well, all of those expenses, for those who are wondering what I'm talking about, all of our expenses, because I was visiting with a client, it is considered a business trip, so might as well deduct those expenses. The clients just had an amazing home that they built on their own, 20 some years ago. They have a beautiful view outside their front window, which is a very large window, by the way, of Mount Tom. Just great. There's still snow in the mountains. It's just fantastic.
Picturesque.
So, I was thinking, Crystal, have you ever heard the statement, it's lonely at the top?
I have.
It's a cliche statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually a true statement. Not many folks who are in positions of leadership have the ability or the kinds of relationships where they can share problems or receive advice from folks who understand their circumstances.
That is true.
Yeah. One of the things that I've really benefited from you, Crystal, is having the ability to learn from you, and I hope that you've learned some stuff from me, but maybe you're smarter than I am. I don't know.
Oh, no, we all know that iron sharpens iron, Keith. I try to educate you about things like cryptocurrency, and you educate me about things like key man insurance. We help each other. We talk about quite a bit of stuff too.
Yeah, and I think some of the other things I've learned from you is how to develop those relationships with high net worth folks and people who are our clients, and so we've rubbed off on each other a little bit, I suppose.
I definitely think so. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring this up is that we're having a conversation today with James Schulze, who has extensive experience as a chairperson for a peer advisory group. I'm a part of a peer advisory group as well, as I know you are. And I like these groups because, I'm a business leader, and I benefit greatly from having a small group of peers who are in different industries who we can continue to learn from and gather insights from people in different industries. It's so good to be able to learn and hear about other perspectives because, quite frankly, I just don't know everything.
Yeah, I agree. I love these groups. You know, network and support and, help each other grow. It's super important. And, like you said, when you get to the top, it's about building strategies and, who can you talk to? You can't talk to, if you're a founder, you can't really talk to, the people that you're with about some of your employees about your issues in your business. So you need other founders that you can speak with, people that's been there, done that to help you grow.
It's not that you can't talk to people in your organization. It's just that you have to be wise about how you talk about it and what things you talk about with who. Because as a leader, you need to have a level of transparency. You need to have a level of being able to express some of the things that you're trying to accomplish, but yet you don't want to project a negative aspect of hey, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it could be a very lonely road. And so today I'm very excited to speaking with Jim. How are you doing today, Jim?
I am wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Crystal, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Sure, absolutely. Today we are interviewing Jim Schulze on the 7 laws of leadership. Jim Schulze has extensive experience as a startup founder and C-suite leader, as a CEO and COO. He has food service industry experience. During his career, he has been awarded titles such as Employee of the Year, Rep of the Year, Vendor of the Year. Besides being a fan of eating, drinking, which is all vegetarian, James burns off his meals with daily mountain bike rides in the Southern California mountains. As a cyclist, James not only rides, but is a leader of a local cycling advocacy group, AMTR. James also serves on several local boards of nonprofits and is an active member in his college alumni association, the United States Merchant Marine Academy. And since 2021, he has served as a chairperson for a chapter of Vistage, which is a peer advisory group for executives of businesses. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful introduction.
You're welcome. One of his former employees stated this about Jim. Under Jim's ambitious leadership and intense focus, our company has achieved year-over-year double-digit growth in just 2 years. Jim leads by example, which keeps everyone motivated. He helped align IT with the business goals and sponsored several key initiatives that decreased risk, increased operational inefficiencies, and increased customer satisfaction. It is a pleasure to work with him. James, can you tell us a little bit more about Vistage and its benefits?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thanks for the opportunity to do so. So Vistage is the largest peer advisory group in the world. Been around for 60 some years. I mean, we have a long, long lineage. It started with business leaders in Milwaukee that realized even though everyone runs a different type of business, we all face similar problems. So it doesn't matter if you're in IT, if you're in wholesale distribution, if you're a service oriented company, issues and problems that we face, both good and bad, are universal for all companies. And what they found is that in bringing those ideas and issues to the fore, they could discuss them in an open format that would bring creative thought into their business. Because the way I might solve something could be completely novel to you, Crystal, and you would not even know, ever have never even thought of that idea in the past until you work it out in a mastermind group type setting. So at the core of Vistage, we recognize that while all businesses are different, we face very similar problems. And when you bring a group together in an organized, structured format like we do, it gives business leaders and owners the opportunity to really bring new thoughts into their world, and create innovation in their business on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, that's so good. And, as I was researching for our podcast today, I was perusing the Vistage website, which just has such a wealth of information. And I found this document called the Seven Laws of Leadership. And we only have so much time. And, Crystal's a talker. So, maybe we won't get through all seven of them, but I hope we can get through a couple of them. And I found that, these seven laws of leadership were just so good. These were very in-depth ideas that are innovative, but they're not really all that new. They're innovative in that, a lot of people have never considered these aspects of leadership. And as I was thinking through these laws, I noticed that a lot of the laws, or all of these laws, I can place with biblical concepts. So before we kind of get diving into it, Jim, can you tell us a little bit about your own faith?
Absolutely, Keith. Thanks for asking. I am in a faith-filled community of the Roman Catholic Church. I'm a lifelong Catholic, a practicing Catholic, and we put our money where our mouth is. My kids have been educated in faith-based schools, specifically Catholic schools, and I think that there is tremendous overlap in applying what you learn on a Saturday or Sunday, be it in temple or in church or another house of worship, to business and making yourself a better business person.
Yeah, excellent, Jim. You'll have to forgive me. I'm a Presbyterian, but we can still chat.
We can still be friends.
Absolutely. So, the first law was that we should reject shortcuts. And what I have found is that a lot of times, we're always looking for the shortest path to success. But why do you think, Jim, that leads to disappointment?
Well, I saw a video, and I can't take credit for this, but it was a definition of grit. And it said that grit is about doing the right thing every single day and not really worrying about the reward. The reward is random. You don't know when the reward is going to come, but if you do the right thing every single day, you will get the reward in life. And I mean, certainly from a scriptural standpoint, I mean, it is clearly said in the Bible that you don't know when you're going to be called. That's the surprise. The reward is there for those that do the right thing on a daily basis. And I mean, it happens in business all the time, right? And I think where the opposite of grit is where you start something and you stop it. You start it and you stop it. You're continually going in different directions. You're never really giving a strategy a chance to germinate and take seed. And so to me, grit is essential in life, both if you're going to walk this earth as a good person, as a religious person. Again, we don't know when we're going to be called, but the reward is there if we do the right thing. So just do the right thing every single day. And you might be called later in life, you might be called earlier, but we're all going to be called for sure. Do the right thing and you're going to get the reward. The exact same thing happens in business. If you bounce from strategy to strategy, you're never going to get anywhere. You're constantly going to be chasing your tail. One of the key things that we speak about in our group is, what is your strategy? Have that discipline to go after it. And then the benefit of Vistage, or a mastermind group, but Vistage specifically, it gives every member an opportunity to discuss strategy, to get input, to give a member the confidence to go forward and execute that strategy, because they have the opportunity every single month to say, hey, here's what my strategy is. I want your feedback. I want your input. What have you done that hasn't worked? What do I need to be aware of? And it's incredibly powerful to do that in a group atmosphere where you get unbiased support and unbiased feedback from other business leaders.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I love the fact that, Vistage gives that document from Vistage gives the idea of an athlete with that rigor and grit. I
Sure.
think of the late Kobe Bryant. Now, I'm not a basketball fan. I was a wrestler in high school, so I kind of have an animus against basketball. But no offense to all my basketball loving friends and listeners, but I've always respected Kobe Bryant because of his work ethic. He was the guy who could just blow everybody out of the water with his skills, but yet he was constantly on the court practicing. And I don't know who the teammate was who told this story. I don't recall, but he was always wanting to, beat Kobe Bryant. He wanted to outwork him. He wanted to be in the practice room earlier than Kobe Bryant. And one day, he thought that he was finally going to be able to get onto the court before Kobe. Kobe was known to be on the court, very early in the morning, practicing his shooting skills and his other skills to be, the best basketball player. And he thought that one day he was absolutely going to be able to beat Kobe Bryant because Kobe was injured. But yet he was disappointed that even when Kobe was injured, he was still on the court practicing before him. And that was the key to Kobe Bryant's success as one of the best, basketball players of all time. He knew how to shoot a basket. He knew how to do the free throws. He knew how to do all of these things better than anybody, but yet he continued to practice and refine his skills. He didn't allow himself to really just become plain at his skills. He was constantly working it, and Kobe owned his results.
Yeah.
And so there really is no shortcut to success. And what we find is that people who try to cut corners end up with negative results.
Without a doubt, corner cutting never gets you where you want to go. And Kobe Bryant was a great basketball player. As a Chicago guy, I go back a few years prior, and Michael Jordan was the same, and was the first one on the court, practiced the hardest off season, and both Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are the perfect example of grit. They did the right thing every single day, and they knew it was going to take them to where they wanted to get to. And it's interesting because we all have varying degrees of talent. Some of us are taller, some of us are shorter if we're playing basketball. Some of us are smarter, some of us aren't as blessed in that way. We all have different talents in life, but the one thing that we can all control is our grit, our hard work for the effort. And it's not coincidental. Those that show the most grit and that work the hardest have the best results.
And sometimes as business owners, I know I've had this problem, is that I feel like I have to have everything figured out before I start a process. And this really came out in my podcasting. I really wanted to podcast for a long time, but I didn't know how. And I finally just said, you know what? I'm going to start. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the best ever, but you know what? I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to learn as I go. And what's happened is our podcast has matured, hasn't it, Crystal? We've gotten better.
Absolutely.
Now we have an intro and an outro. Now we have a little bit of editing. And you know what? Our listener audience is growing. And so sometimes if we're going to have a goal that we're trying to reach as a business owner or as a business leader, we just have to get started and know that we're not going to be perfect right out of the get-go. We can get insight, we can learn from others, we can get some feedback, but at the end of the day, we have to get started and we have to stay the course.
Stay the course, yeah.
Yeah, the pursuit of an impossible to achieve perfection is the biggest enemy of progress. And not that you don't try to get better on a daily basis, but at some point, yeah, absolutely, Keith, you got to get started. And again, the beauty of Vistage is you're around a framework of people that will give you motivation and reaffirm your good ideas and help you get started, help you with that motivation, kick you off on that journey, and then keep you on track month after month. It's really awesome.
Absolutely.
I agree with you too. And that actually takes me down to, law number 6, which is find a trusted guide, challenge assumptions, identify blind spots, and accountability. And, I can speak from experience and being a Vistage member for nearly 2 years. And Jim was actually my Vistage chair. And one of the first things that he did was help us pair us with an accountability partner, someone to help you stay accountable, stay in that grit mindset, and challenge my assumptions and notify me of my blind spots. And so my accountability coach and partner one of them was Rick LeBlanc. And Rick is actually still one of my clients, and he is a partner. I call him and talk about all of my business ideas, and he tells me exactly what he thinks. He doesn't hold anything back. He is just a very great mentor, and one of the things that Jim is really good at is matchmaking. Setting up the right people to help mentor the right people, and that's part of it, right, Jim?
Absolutely. No, you have to be with the right person. I think the proverb noted on the handout that you passed out, without counsel plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. Again, be it a spiritual partner, that could be a clergy, or be it a business partner, we get there together. My sister is a lifelong runner, very fast runner, very good runner. She had never run a marathon though. And first thing she wanted to do when she decided she wanted to run her first marathon, she was in her mid 40s, was she joined a running group. Now she knows how to run. She's run her entire life. She's a dedicated runner, but having that group around you is really the difference maker, right? So again, she lived in Chicago like I did. And when it's 5 a.m. in the middle of winter and you really don't want to get out of bed, having that accountability partner to help get you to the start of the daily run is key. Hey, my shins are hurting. Yeah, that's normal. Your shins should be hurting after this many miles. Or, hey, my shins are hurting. Ooh, maybe take a break. You might be overtraining, because in my experience, when my shins started to hurt at this point, I was probably overtraining. So, I mean, you can find anecdote after anecdote about the importance of having an accountability partner. And yeah, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So it's really important in every aspect of life. And that's something we focus on at Vistage in a big way.
What's really interesting is that when I entered your group, I was working with clients that were, 5 to 20 million. And by the time I exited your group, which I would have never exited if I didn't move, but I did. But by the time I exited, my clients were 50 million plus. And now it's only been a few months after I've exited, and my clients are 100 million plus. So, Vistage is a fantastic group to join. If you're out there listening, I recommend you reaching out to Jim Schulze. We were talking about law number 6. Keith, it says that Proverbs 15:22 goes along with that. What does Proverbs 15:22 say?
Well, that, Jim, that verse, it's without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. And what I always tell people is, hey, 2 heads are better than 1.
Iron sharpens iron.
And if we're all on the same team, we're all on the same side, we're all working towards the same goals. Different perspectives, disagreements are not necessarily a bad thing if it's handled correctly. Now, the one who thinks they know everything and that they're absolutely right, and no one else has a perspective or a point to add, maybe those aren't the best advisors or the best people to have on the team. And that really, addresses the fact that we need to be very careful who we choose to have as our advisors. And we already have many advisors. I don't know about you, but I have an advisor for my car. When I have a problem with my car, I go to my mechanic. I know him. Irving's a great guy. He's honest and he knows what he's doing. I could probably change the oil in my car if I wanted to. I don't. But I don't tell him how to change the oil in my car, and I certainly don't try to tell him that whether or not my transmission needs to be rebuilt. uh, you know, and we have our tax uh, advisors, we have our medical advisors. We have people advising us all the time, and having the wisdom to know who to trust and who has our best interest is just such a valuable thing to know and comprehend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about another one of these laws. I love this one, law number 2, create space to work on the business. So a lot of us are very accustomed to working in the business, but what's the difference between that and working in and on the business, Jim?
Yeah, great question. Working in the business is when you're just involved in the day-to-day details and you're really so granular that you're missing the big picture and the big opportunities. And what we find in Vistage is that, a Vistage meeting day is not a day off. It's not a day of, hey, let's go play golf or let's go have fun or network. It's a day of being able to pull back, reflect on what you're doing, get feedback on that, and really work on the business rather than just focused on the granular. My goal as a Vistage chair is for people, all of the members, to come into every single meeting and have a couple big picture type topics they can take back to their business. So, for example, I had a speaker that came in that spoke about IT security. Hey, if you're a business owner, it's one thing to be involved on a day-to-day basis and just, looking at all the different metrics you look at. But if you step back from your business, what are the big risk factors from an IT standpoint? And not that a business owner or a CEO is then going to go fix the IT risk factors they have, but it gives you an opportunity to pull back, work on the business, understand risk, and then go back to your team and put plans into place to mitigate that risk from an IT standpoint. So it's just a chance to be reflective. Um, Again, when you look at anything that you do in life, it's always good to pull back, have time to be reflective, and think about what you're doing in life. We talk about there's only one day to take off, the Sabbath day, and in any religion they have it. This is the same type of concept, right? It's a chance to pull back and be reflective, and instead of worrying about picking up groceries, getting the lawn mowed, going to get groceries, getting your kid to school, and just be involved in a daily basis, when you practice as a Vistage member, or when you practice as a religion, it's the same opportunity for reflection to look back on what's going on in your life and really make sure you're on the right path from a big picture standpoint. So I think it's incredibly critical that anyone does that in any phase of their life. Employee burnout, employer burnout, ownership burnout is at an all-time high, and that's because we're connected 24/7 via email, Slack, text messaging, the countless different third-party messenger apps where you can communicate with people around the world. We never shut down anymore, and the brain isn't really designed to work like that. So, a day at a Vistage group is a day to shut your brain down from the day-to-day granular, engage it differently, have some new perspectives, some new thoughts, and really reflect. And then, obviously, in Scripture, we're instructed to do the same one day of the week. Take a day and give it to your religion, in which you unplug, you relax, you get yourself back in that groove, and make sure you're right on track. The parallels are scary; they're so close.
Right. Jim, I am a solopreneur. It's just me. I have my business partner, but we have a lot of things we do together, and we have a lot of things that we do separate. My business partner is 70 some years old, and he's just kind of floating and building his part of the business, and I'm working and grinding to build mine because I'm quite a bit younger than Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that the handout that Vistage provided, talking about getting out of the office, getting out of your regular environment to work on the business. And yeah, I live in Orange County. I live right by the coast, and one of the places that I love to go to work on the business is right there at Crystal Cove by the ocean.
I love it there.
And I sit at a coffee shop and I read and I might do some writing. I do some things, uh, to help me figure out what it is that I'm doing that's getting me off track, and make plans to get back on track and to stay on track. And I find that, even this is a biblical concept, as you stated. You know, when I'm working on my life, the Jesus shows a pattern of rising early in the morning and going out of his regular surroundings to a desolate place to contemplate and to pray. We see that very frequently in the Gospels, particularly Mark 135. We see Jesus withdrawing and praying and reflecting, to work on his spiritual life and on his mission. And for the Christian business owner, having that time to get out of the office, to get out of the home and go to a different place and pray and reflect and kind of ground yourself is just so important.
Well, it's about being well-rounded in every aspect of your life. So you can't be in the granular every single day, either professionally or personally. So it's about taking that time away from your business to work on the business. It's about taking, as stated at the beginning, I'm an avid cyclist. It's about taking time to get out in nature, be it hiking, be it cycling, be it camping, be it just sitting in a park and reflecting at Crystal Cove, which is a beautiful place. Uh, and then obviously taking the time in your place of worship to also reflect. I mean, all of these timeouts are necessary and they're critical to maintain a healthy mindset. And again, with the almost epidemic proportions of mental health problems, we're too many people aren't doing that, and it just really creates a lot of burnout, which sends people down a bad spiral. So it's I think it's critical. I'm a believer in it. People need to get out and they need to see the rest of the world, and they can't be at the grindstone every day. And Vistage is a an avenue to help you do that.
Well, we're running low on time here, Jim. This has been a great discussion. There's a lot of other things that I would have loved to discuss. But I would recommend that all of our listeners who have enjoyed this discussion, which I know is all of you, go to the Vistage website and you can actually download the 7 Laws of Leadership directly on the Vistage website. Jim, could you tell us a little bit more about how someone can connect with you and learn more about Vistage?
Sure. You can easily find me on LinkedIn. You can also email me. My email is my name, James.Schulze. That's SCHULZE at vistagechair.com. Happy to share my cell phone. And if people want to talk about business or any of the other topics we spoke about, love to do so. And I can be reached at 310-977-5128. This is being a Vistage chair is more than just a job. It's a calling. It's about, I like being the person that I don't lead anyone on their journey. I just facilitate their journey and providing that avenue for people to get together as a group, providing them the opportunity to take time away. The other piece, that we didn't speak about is I meet with everyone in my group once a month on a one-to-one. Crystal and I had many incredibly great one-to-ones in which we would hold each other accountable. We would set new goals and agendas. It's really a wonderful vehicle for business improvement, personal reflection, and would love to talk to anyone about their leadership journey and how Vistage could help them out.
That was actually one of my favorite parts of Vistage, was meeting with you one-on-one each month. So thank you, Jim, so much for joining us today. I encourage all of our listeners and viewers, please reach out. Jim is located in Southern California. Whereabouts in Southern California are you?
I'm in Orange County. I'm Keith's neighbor. So I'm located in Yorba Linda, but my members are spread all around Orange County, and I'm regularly out and about.
And Vistage is not just in Orange County.
No, Vistage is global, actually. We're in maybe 30 countries at this point, 27,000 members strong and growing. So you can find us all over the place.
Excellent. Well, thanks again to our wonderful listeners for enjoying this episode of the Faith and Money podcast. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and to like and share the podcast with a friend and perhaps an enemy too. Until next time, you can always contact Crystal at her website, canethics.com, and my website is truelegacyfp.com. Until next time, so long and God bless.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Faith and Money podcast. But remember, our conversations don't end here. We invite you to continue exploring these fascinating subjects by subscribing to our podcast. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, ensuring that you stay connected to our community of like-minded individuals seeking wisdom and guidance in their financial and spiritual lives. And while you're at it, don't forget to rate and review the Faith and Money podcast. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but it also allows others to discover and benefit from these enriching discussions. Your words have the power to inspire and empower others to embark on their own journeys toward financial well-being and spiritual fulfillment. Lastly, we want to extend a heartfelt invitation to join us for future episodes. We have exciting guests lined up who will share their unique perspectives and experiences. Together, we'll continue to dive deeper, challenge conventions, and uncover hidden truths that can transform our lives for the better.